It has nothing to do with the color of your skin. It's the content of your character.
They tried to take Donald Trump out. Who's next? Are they going to try to get J.D. Vance? Is Elon Musk on the chopping block for him? We're in the greatest country ever lived at the greatest time ever.
And the American dream is a beautiful thing. But hopefully, the American people are paying attention now. Hey, what it is, Mr. Tatum, man, it's a real pleasure having you on. I'm a big fan of your show, your podcast. I don't miss it. And it's exciting to finally talk to you because I feel like you and we've been on this since day one. And, now it's fashionable. Everyone is fashionable now, but you and I caught hell for many years standing on what we believe in. So for me, it's a real honor to finally get a chance to talk to you because, man, I'm a big fan.
Sorry, I was muted. But no, I appreciate you having me on, man. And likewise, man, I really respect what you do. I watch your show, and I appreciate you, saying kind words about me, man. We did start it from the ground. And, even though some people jump on the bandwagon now, it's still good to see a lot of people, turning the corner and getting on track because we really need to get our country back.
Man, so Fox sends me to all kinds of weird places sometimes, right? And they sent me to, a Super Bowl like a few years back. It was in Houston or whatever. And I mean, I'm telling you, the brothers would be like, oh, hey, man, but no, I ain't doing no interview with you. I can't say what's up. I don't want any drama. And that was kind of like the feel. And, this last time when I went to the Super Bowl, bruh, you would have thought I was the prettiest girl at prom. I mean, I talked to every brother, NFL legend, couldn't wait to see me. Marcus Allen thought he was going to hug me. Lawrence Taylor, everyone was coming. I was like, man, and I said, where the hell have y'all been? And Lawrence Taylor said it best. He said, look, man, you was running through the forest and you was getting beat up and scraped up, but eventually you chopped all down the trees down. And when you looked around, we were all here with you. And I was like, but you could have chopped some trees too, bro. But you want to do swinging the axes, man. And just on a personal note, how has it been for you? Because, you went from being considered extreme to combative. And now you are common sense, makes sense. And, oh, man, I will let my teenage son watch his show now.
Yeah, it's been a blessing, man. I mean, I feel like God has really orchestrated my life in a way that I can add value. And these are the things that I prayed about way before I ever had a platform or anything. I was just a cop trying to make a living, trying to do what's right for the community. And I used to always have these prayers like, God, whatever my talents are, whatever it is, just use me. I don't care what it is, whether it's football, whether it's being a cop, whether it's anything, just use me. And now I see some of those prayers come to fruition because now I have, billions of views on YouTube. I can't go anywhere without people recognizing me. And it's a blessing that God has given me the mentality to not care about what people were saying about me at the very beginning. I knew I was on the right side of it. I said, man, I just got to keep telling the truth. And my convictions are so strong that it's like, I don't care what anybody say. There's no way in the world I can unsee the
No,
things
you
I've
don't.
seen.
Yeah, and let me ask, going back to your career as a police officer, a lot of men as they come out of that or when they're transitioning to that and seeing what you have seen and seeing the level of disrespect that has been put upon law enforcement, mainly at the hand of mainstream media, pushing narratives, showing half videos. The list goes on where the police officers were the bad guys or whatever. And that could jade a lot of people and that could change a lot of platforms. And all the stuff I've watched, you never came off bitter or angry. And I've seen you talk to people who have little or no respect for law enforcement. How were you able to do it? Because, man, you were boots on the ground in it. And the transition now to where you are a communicator and using your platform that way. But I have yet to see any bitterness or anger or any just the way you were treated. Is that just from your convictions?
A little bit of a combination of a few things. It's really the faith that I have in God kind of keeps me lined up properly. But also I've been there, done that. I wasn't always in favor of police. We hated police when I was growing up. We thought they were, white people
Yeah,
trying
so
to
did I.
harass us. And so I know where people are coming from. So I'm not completely oblivious to their side. So I have a little bit of understanding and compassion. And my biggest mission is to correct the wrongs, because I wish that somebody would tell me what I tell people after experiencing being a police officer, like, giving them facts and pointing out certain things, and the disingenuous nature of half-cut videos, the policy positions of use of force, and all of these different things. I wish somebody was reasonable enough and compassionate enough with me to understand that I'm just misinformed or uninformed. It's not that I'm intentionally being an ignorant maniac. It's that I really don't know what I don't know. And so that kind of gives me a little bit of less vitriolic, intentions when it comes to talking to people. Some people I got to get on their head, but for the most part, it's like,
Yeah.
you guys just don't understand. If I explain it like this, you'll get exactly what I'm talking about.
And that's that's one of the things that I respect so much about you, is the fact that you will be the first one. And I'm the same one. I will say the same thing. Like, look, maybe I don't know all the ins and outs of this. So could you educate me? Explain to me what I'm missing. Why am I not seeing it? And that seems to get more of an aggressive response than just sitting on like, this is my side of the fence and I ain't going that way. I'm literally saying, I got a swinging fence. Come on in. Have an Arnold Palmer, explain to me what I'm missing. Like, I was trying to understand the woke stuff for a long time. Like, hey, maybe I'm just too old school, so help me understand. But whenever I asked the question, all I ever got back was hate. And then they would be confused because it'd be hard to call me racist sometimes. So then they would say that I was I traded my blackness for my political beliefs, because that was the one thing they like to take away from us. And I was like, look, I spent my whole life, I couldn't give it away. I keep it now. I cherish it. You can't take it from me. So did you find that a lot when you come to somebody with a smile on your face? Because you're like me, you're a big dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can handle it other ways. But when you come at them with an olive twig, do you get as much pushback as I do?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because they want me to come at them aggressive. They want me to be mad and angry and argue with them. And it's like, no, the truth is on my side. I'm not mad at all. I'm just going to present the truth to you. And they can't handle it because they know that they're not right about this stuff. They know that they don't have evidence. They've not done any research. So it feels like something on the inside of them want to rise up when the truth start hitting them. But at the end of the day, man, I really do think that it is a benefit to a certain degree. And I'm not trying to bring race into this, but I think you understand this. There's a benefit to being Black in this conservative theology, because when I do go to campuses, it's, because I do things with Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. When Charlie go to campuses, obviously he's so dominant now that it's so many conservatives around him that the leftists, they stick out like a sore thumb. But back when he first started, they would just, he's a racist. He's a racist. He hate Blacks. He do this. And then when I get to the campus, it's hard for them to say that. It's hard for them to call me out and say, I don't know what's going on in the Black community, that I'm somehow a racist, that I'm somehow a sellout. They can't use that against Black people in this movement. And I think it's a benefit. And that's why it's important that we all work together, because as a team, we can hit them on each level.
And I think the other is, and again, it's a physical presence. And when I say that is when a brother walks in, jacked, looking like he could watch MTV, went to the gym, he lives his life. He's not in a suit. He's not speaking the King's English. He's lived life. He's got dirt under his fingernails. And I think that throws people off a lot, because they're like, well, no, because my definition of what conservative is a white guy in a suit, or a Black guy in a suit trying his best to pretend to be the white guy. And when they don't see that, it just blows their mind, because they don't have anything to argue and they have to listen, or they will just go into the screaming and the other weird behaviors that we have seen. So I think there is I agree with you. There is an advantage to that, because they don't expect it. And that's what that bothers me sometimes, because I'm like, you cannot get caught up in this group stuff. Part of being a man has nothing to do with the color of your skin. It's the content of your character. And being a man who stands for his principles, I have no problem breaking bread with a man who stands and has liberal, and that's who he is. 90% of my friends are Democrat, although they were real quiet over the Kamala stuff. But even they would come to the table and be like, when we did talk about it, in between basketball and baseball and all the stuff that men talk about, they'd be like, yeah, bro, I'm with you on this one. Because it was just an exchange of ideas, but we don't discuss politics on there every day. Is it the same thing in your world where you rarely talk about it except when you have to talk about it in genres like this.
Yeah. So I think that I may be a little different when it comes to friends. Like I have no liberal friends, but I will say this: my best friend in college. I mean, we like brothers, and for a long time, he would post this Black Lives Matter stuff and put it all on the internet, and I never said anything to him about it. And I would post Trump stuff, and he never said anything to me about it. And we would come together and we hang out, and we like this. You know what I'm saying? And so now that the vaccine happened and all that other stuff, he has now come across and been like so much deeper into politics now, and that's all we talk about. You know what I'm saying? We come at least once.
Yeah, and that's exactly how it was for me. I have friends that were like this, because everyone, for a long time, if you didn't vote for Obama, your black card might get pulled, or if you challenge something, and that was a long time. So we just didn't talk about it. It was the same thing. Like you don't talk about what you do with your wife in your bedroom, and you don't talk about politics, and you don't get too religiously with people, because those are things that can end friendships. So we never talked about it. And then all of a sudden, when they started seeing some of the, especially, look, that going through that pandemic BS, that changed a lot of people, and that opened a lot of eyes, and especially in our community where brothers were like, "Oh no, you took us for a fool. You hurt us in ways that And when it was all the funding and stuff, the corruption, where the money went, no one knows where the money went. I mean, I watched whole communities get wiped out in Louisiana that were supposed to be the first in line to get that money sent. It never made it, but it sure made it to all the special interest groups. They all got their money. Some of them even had to pay it back. I was seeing rap music singers and stuff were getting millions of dollars, but they didn't pay the roadies. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just this massive of transparent corruption that wasn't happening under Hitler's watch that really turned a lot of people's eyes to be like, hey man, we got played.
Yeah, it came out pretty strong, and I'm glad, man. A whole bunch of people in my family, because I felt like when I first did this, I was the only conservative in my family, and everybody else respected me because they know me. They know who I am. So
Right.
they don't talk about it. They shy away from it. They release respect what I have to say. Respectfully disagree in some cases, and now everybody's a Trump supporter. I'm being honest. I remember going to a family function just recently, and my uncles are like, "I'm voting for Trump." My mama, I'm voting for Trump. My daddy say, at least I agree with a lot of things that you say, Brandon. I don't, the Kamala and all that. I ain't feeling that, the vaccine, all that stuff. And my dad agrees with me on a lot of stuff. So it's incredible to see this turnaround. And I'm just excited that we are living in a time where we're seeing so much conversion. And thank God that these people got exposed the way they did, because I don't think that some people in our families, I don't think that some of our friends would have woken up just off of listening to us. They had to feel it. They had to see it. They had to see Black Lives Matter being a fraudulent group, siphoning money, doing nothing for black people, burn houses in white communities.
Not one computer. Yeah. You know what? I keep saying this, and I've gotten a chance to speak with the president a couple times. That in itself to me just cracks me up. But one of the things in talking to him was, and I see it in his leadership now, that 4 years, although it was rough for everybody, I think we all needed it. I think it's changed the way that he does business. The fact that look at how his cabinet looks. That's a man who doesn't care all he cares about is your character and can you do the job. He doesn't care who you vote for, who you sleep with, what color. He don't give a damn. Just he wants the best and brightest, and that I think that changed. Whereas before, he was fighting everybody. He was ready to throw blows at everybody. Now he's laid back. He's patient. He's very transparent. He's playing with house money. He knows he's got about 2 years to do this in the floor, because what Doge is doing, and I know you've been a big proponent of this. Right now, the Democrats are running scared, but the dirty Republicans are going to start to show up pretty soon once we start seeing where all that money went. So I say he's got 2 years. And I even said to him, I said, look, man, you can do this in 2 years and you can step down. I mean, just get it all in before the bureaucracy. But hopefully the American people are paying attention now, and they're starting to watch this and keep stats like in football when they look at who the senators are voting for and who the congressmen are voting for. And we start to see things like that, we'll start voting the right way to keep the country going in the direction it's going right now. I'm hopeful. Do you share my my positivity?
Yeah, I'm definitely optimistic. I think that he got a second chance at this thing. I think a lot of things that he was unaware of, he didn't understand how deep the corruption was on both sides. And I think that all of this that has happened to him over the years, kind of changed him to a point where he's saying, I don't give a F about what they think about me. They're going to hate me anyway. I'm going to go through this time and I'm going to put the people in place that are going to be loyal, that I know for a fact. I'm not capitulating. I'm not playing politics no more. I'm not trying to play nice guy. I'm going to put people in positions that I know is going to do what I asked them to do. I know is going to fight for what the American people want. And I think he's open enough to, kind of get back to who he is, the way he negotiates, the way he run business. Like, I think he got his mojo back. And I agree with you in the sentiment of, I'm glad. People say this all the time, especially when I go to churches and speak. And I tell them, I say, we can't act like God is only sovereign when a Republican is in office. No, God knew that Joe Biden would be in that position. God ordained Joe Biden to be in that position. And we, now looking back on it, should be grateful that God said, look, let me prove this to the world. You guys had something good going for you, but you decide to go in a way that's unbecoming, in many cases, of Christians and people who claim to love the Lord. And now let me show you what this looks like. So now when I give you a second chance, how are you going to treat that second chance? And we had to see how bad they really were. We had to see the truth and the ugliness of what they stand for. And now that we're in power, after seeing how terrible they were, now we see how they get mad at stuff that benefits America. So, in my opinion, it shows us that they were on the wrong side this whole time anyway. And I'm glad that it happened, because it's so refreshing to we've been talking about this for a very long time. We've been telling people, we've been shining a light in the darkness, saying, look, man, these people are evil. They hate America. They don't care, what Donald Trump does. They're going to always oppose him. And then now we see it in real life.
Yeah, and one of the things that I was thinking about while you're talking is it's funny because here's the thing about our side. If something is wrong or there was a bad decision, you and I would be the first one to criticize, because you got to you check your own self, you check your own party, you check your own family. If there's stuff that doesn't seem right, if is a quality thing, we'll be the first one to speak on it. Where the other side, they all in, even the fact they all share the same tweets in a lot of cases, like it is a business, and that's what it has become. It became a business, and it was a business of feelings, opposed to what President Trump is running on is facts and real problems. Like, we're going to solve the border. They want to solve problems that don't really exist, because you can stretch it, expand it. But the best part is you can dump a whole lot of money in it, spread it any way you want to whomever. And then we're like, well, we're fighting this problem. It's just, and then when the jig is up, like, oh, we solved it. We see it with the homeless situation in New York. It was $50 million just vanished to help with the homeless problem. The homeless problem is worse than ever. But I guarantee you there's a few constituents in New York that are doing very wealthy right now. So I think that's the big difference, is we're dealing with feelings and propaganda versus facts and hitting real issues of the American people. American people don't care how you feel as a politician. They just want you to see to do the work. And I think that's the message that you push out there, how you live in your life, how you're doing your things. And it's very, again, I keep using the word optimistic. I feel like I'm smiling again. It's fun to go outside again. I don't have to sit in front of the TV and see what the hell's going on, or need an interpreter to figure out what the hell the president just said. So I'm very optimistic about the future of this country. Is there anything that you're concerned with, looking at the way that the expedience of everything that's going? Is there anything you're concerned with?
I'm hoping these lunatics don't just get so far out of control that we end up in a major civil conflict, because we see that they're so deranged, and it's not a lot of them. It's just a few of them that are incredibly violent, because what they're doing to Tesla, burning cars, I mean, this is very dangerous to set fire to lithium batteries. I mean, it's impossible for firefighters, because my dad he's been a firefighter for 40 some years and getting ready to retire. But, we talked on the phone about this. Those lithium batteries, it's almost impossible to put them out. You got to let them either burn all the way out, or they have these new blankets that they're constructing that you can throw on top of them that cost like $40,000 a blanket. So many of these departments around the country can't even afford to extinguish some of these fires. And you set a massive amount of them on fire at one time, it can be incredibly dangerous and deadly. And this is what they're doing because they're believing the propaganda. That's insane. They tried to take Donald Trump out. Who's next? Are they going to try to get J.D. Vance? Is Elon Musk on the chopping block for him? it only takes a few of them to act extremely violent and take out a few of people who are incredible leaders in our country for there to be a crazy conflict. So that's one thing that I'm afraid of. I'm also afraid of us not fulfilling on the promise. You know, I was telling my staff the other day, I'm like, the only way we lose this thing is we fumble the bag. We got the bag in hand, but we can't keep going down this path of trying to go viral instead of putting out substance. When we said that we were going to release the Epstein files, we should have been calculated and made sure that we fulfilled on the promise instead of looking like idiots with binders and doing all this stuff, tricking people. And we don't need to do that. When we make a statement, we need to be very clear. We don't need to be trying to go viral. We need to make sure we fulfill on our promises of the American people. And one more thing, Tyrus, is just the tariffs. I'm really hoping that the tariffs that Donald Trump is putting into place, which I believe that they will do well, I'm hoping that they fulfill on what Donald Trump expects them to, because if we build the economy, we're going to have a presidency for another 2 terms with J.D. Vance. If we don't, it'll give these nut jobs a chance into the White House again.
And, that's such a good point because, when you think about missteps in the Epstein file, what bothers me about that is clearly we're never going to see those files because they're not there anymore. I don't think they were waiting for election night to start shredding papers. I think they were taken care of a long time ago, and that might have to be what we hear. We need to hear like, oh, they're coming, and we'd be like, you know what? We're going to have to rely on the witnesses and the victims, because if you destroy evidence, yes, it can help you, but it also can hurt you, because now you're going to have the voices of these victims that they come forward and we start going after these individuals. I think if without them having the paperwork to say they weren't there, is just as bad as having the paperwork to say you were there. So, I think that's the thing that bothers me about that is sometimes you got to come out and just say, hey, they did a good job at what they do, but here's what we do know, and then go from there, because everyone who was on that plane, who was going to those islands, whatever their reasons were, the missed tapes, all that stuff with Epstein, I was like, none of that stuff is there anymore. None of it. Because if they're a part of it, they're not going to keep it in office. Like the corruption of the FBI, the corruption of the CIA, we saw it where they decided that they were martyrs and they knew better than the American people, but they were still members of the FBI and the CIA, which means they had at their disposal highest technology, the ability to ghost stuff, make things go away. I mean, he accidentally suicided himself in a prison where that should not have happened. So, I mean, I think we need to move on from the Epstein thing because it's not coming. And I think we need to, but that in itself should let the American people know what the last 4 years were like. They're willing to protect their few than serve the American people. And that in itself, to me, is a great campaign commercial. Speaking of which,
1,000%.
Yeah, I mean, I think at some point, this is going to just be a cold case file for a long time. We just have to rely on the testimony of the witnesses if it even gets to that. But let me ask you this, because a man with your faith, with your experience, with the strength of your voice and your convictions, what about, are we going to see, Senator Tatum, Congressman Tatum, President Tatum? I mean, I could, like, hey, you're taking it this far, you're building this momentum. Is that something you think in your future? Because I get it thrown at me all the time. Like, all right, big shot. What about this? And then me, it's simple. I got 4 kids, so I can't afford to be in politics because I'm not a corrupt person. So I can't afford. I would love to work in the White House with the president. Oh man, that'd be great. When I saw the pay scale, I was like, oh, I'm out. I just, because I'm not gonna steal from the American people. There's not enough money for what I'm trying to do with my kids. I got a daughter who's in equestrian. I got another daughter in softball, and my son's in baseball. Like I got to work 3 jobs to keep them going.
Yeah, we can't afford that haircut, man. But I tell you what,
no,
I'm open to whatever God chooses for me. I pray to God to give me the wisdom to know and see where I should go next. My wife says absolutely not. And for me personally, somebody said this to me in a comment on one of my posts, and they were like, "Brandon, you need to do a real job. You need to have a real impact by being in Congress." And I'm like, well, actually, we reach almost 100 million people. We reach 80 million people a month on social media. So I think we're doing our part. Not everybody's going to be in politics, and not everybody, is going to be an influencer. Some people need to write. That's their skill set. Some people create shows, art, whatever. Speak out when they can in sport.
Right.
All of these things, we all have a part in it. So right now, I feel like God has me in a position to influence as many people as possible through social media and doing in-person events and things like that. But I tell you what, Tyrus, if God calls my number to say, Brandon, you need to run for president one day. Brandon, you need to run for Senate. Brandon, you need to run for House of Representatives. You need to run for governor or something at some point. If God put it on my heart, I know that he's going to protect me through the process and I'll do it. But Tyrus, one other thing that makes me afraid is that the damage of your reputation. These people hate you so much that if you decide to put your name in the ring or put your name in the running, they're going to make up all kind of lies. Somehow you didn't pay taxes. Somehow in college, some girl, you didn't did something to some girl you ain't never met in your life.
Yep.
And then, the problem is that when they say this about your name and you have young children, you have to every day explain to your kids, hey, Daddy would never do nothing like that. I know everybody on TV is saying that I'm this person. I'm really not this person. And I personally want to avoid as much as possible putting my children and my family through any of that crazy stuff. Trump is a different breed. I guess when me and you have FU money, then we can say, I don't care what people think about me. But for right now, you wouldn't want to listen to girl or hear some fake story that somebody put out and they bully her at school.
Oh, no.
And it's all a lie,
Yeah, I rarely, I keep my family life very private. That's something that, because I get, we get targeted from these internet tough guys, which is laughable. But they love to, if they get an inch with your family, they'll go in on it, especially when your voice gets momentum. And, the one thing that I've seen as change is that they've done it. So they did it so much to President Trump that eventually people got tired of it. They were basically saying that we had a mass murder in our front yard. So everyone at first was looking out their window like, oh, there's a mass murder in the front yard. What do we do? No one go over there. It's a mass murder. By 6 weeks, they were asking the mass murderer to check the mailbox because it just got to the point where, like, you keep telling us that this horrible thing is right there, but that's not what I'm seeing. And even when I did my interview with him and I talked about the deeds he did, because it was, hundreds ain't even enough in his lifetime that he's done towards help people, giving people jobs that typically wouldn't be given jobs in those positions, whether they're black men, women, gay, straight, it didn't matter. And I said to him, why? I told him he had the worst PR team in the history of politics. Why are they not running these stories of the things that you have done? And, and he was just like, if as soon as I do that, then they're not good deeds anymore. And I'm using the people that I helped to help myself, and that defeats the purpose. And once he said that, I said, bro, you and me is good. Before I voted for policy, now that I met you as a man and see what you're about, I'm voting for you as the man. And that to me goes a long way. And I see the same cut of fiber in you. So hopefully they won't dig up too much dirt. But I definitely think at some point, you definitely get my vote, brother, in a minute. Yeah. And it's nice. But isn't it nice to be in a country where we can sit here and talk about that?
Yeah.
And none of the producers are like, what? They're going to run for office? What? No, not you guys. It's beautiful that you can have those aspirations and say things like, maybe I will, maybe I won't. We'll see how I feel. That's the beauty of this country.
Yeah, only in America can we do this. Leave it up to these leftist, nut jobs. They'll be telling us that not a black man can't do this, or black people can't do this, or you're discriminated against, and it's unequal opportunities. And it's like, no, we smart enough to know that, generally speaking, there's no apprehension. Many people, I would tell you, to be honest, if you or I ever ran for office, white people would love us. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like somehow there's a racist group trying to prevent black people from doing that. And I think the people that'll support us the most would be white. So I think that's the beauty of America. And I wish that everybody saw that, Tyrus. I wish that everybody could just take a step back, man. Put that politics aside, put your phone down, look around, smell the roses. We are in the greatest country. And not only the greatest country to ever live, Tyrus, we're in the greatest country to ever live at the greatest time ever. Imagine being born 50, 60 years ago. Imagine being born, 80 years ago. Or being born in Afghanistan or being born somewhere else. Like, we could be born in any dispensation of time that exists, but yet we're right here, right now, in the freest time ever, the most prosperous time ever, on the brink of doing something that we've never seen done in the world by being leaders in innovation, leaders in technology. America is just in such a great place with potential, and then we are in a good position to be a part of that American dream.
And the American dream is a beautiful thing. And listen, we all start out different. We all get hurdles. Some get a little ahead in life. They got a little money to start. Some of us don't. We start with nothing to plan. But only in this country can you walk out of one job and be like, you know what, man, I'm gonna go see if I can try to do some TV stuff. Only in this country can you go from one thing to the other, and the only thing that ever stops you is you. And you're going to meet people who don't like you for whatever reason, or they don't see it in you. Hey, I don't think he's got it. That's just one door. There's so many doors. You never know where. My whole career, I just wanted to be in the WWE forever. And then when I got done to announce matches and stuff, and life throws curveballs at you, man. And I remember sitting on the couch. I got electric bills here, this, that, here, and these roads and these doors open up, and you just take the opportunity and you make the best of it, because no one's going to help you. You got to help yourself. You got to put in the work. But you will run into people who give you a hand up, not a hand out. And that's the beautiful thing about this country, man. And I really appreciate you taking the time with me today. I finally got a chance to sit down and talk with you, because, my Instagram feed, man, I'm just looking up there. Look what we talking about today. I think the last one, when you did something on The View, and you was like, I have no words. Like, you just looking at it, the stuff they say, and it's like,
Yeah.
back to you. Like, so, man, I appreciate you, brother. I know you got to run and do your thing, but thank you and your family, and hopefully we can do this again real soon.
Yeah, God bless you, man. Next time we got to do it in person, man. I appreciate you having me on. It's a blessing.
Yes, sir, for sure. Stakes on me.
All right.